What's up, and welcome to another episode of Gizmo Slip Tech. Today we're going to be looking at the Surface Book 2 15-inch model. This is the base model with only 256 gigs of storage. Let's go ahead and take a closer look. We'll start by unboxing it, running it through its paces, benchmarking it, checking it out in detail. It's going to be freaking epic. Let's get started. I realize that technically I only need one cut, but this is too fun to not do. Okay, and Microsoft has really stepped up their unboxing game lately, so I can't wait to see how this thing is packaged. Oh. Very simple. For a 15-inch laptop, this is an extremely tiny box. I really like that. Here it is, the 15-inch Surface Book 2. One thing I like about this material already is that it's not really going to get very many fingerprints except for maybe this Windows logo on the back. Let's go ahead and open this up. Ooh, very nice. I like this white cloth. It's kind of a rubbery, thicker cloth here. And I think that's probably because there's quite a bit of a gap between the keyboard and the screen. You've got forward-facing speaker grills on the left and right top of the screen. I like that. That's cool. So when you're holding the device for Netflix or something like that, you'll be able to hold it like this without blocking the speakers, and it'll be forward-facing right towards you. All right, let's check out what's in the rest of the box. Microsoft Surface Book Quick Start Guide. I like that they didn't just set this in here like this. They actually made a cardboard box that goes around it because it just makes it look so much classier. I imagine this is the power brick. It is, and it's a pretty small power brick. I like that because it only has a i7-8550U, which is an undervolted processor, but now it's a quad-core processor, so it's going to be a lot faster than last year's model. And on top of that, it's got a GTX 1060, which is going to be like way faster than I believe the 940M that was in the previous Surface Book. So it should be able to game at full resolution. Let's go ahead and do a breakdown on the Surface Book 2. On the back here, we actually have the rear camera and mic port, as well as the Windows logo. Very simple, smooth styled surface. Along the top of the device, we have the power button, volume, plus and minus. We have the Microsoft patented hinge here. I like the stiffness of this hinge, easy to move. You definitely feel like the tablet portion of the laptop stays put wherever you set it. I really like that. Right in front of the keyboard, we have the heating vent for the GPU. Then of course we have the excellent backlit keyboard. I think the keyboard is really fantastic, except for a few of the keys, like the backspace key and the enter key, aren't evenly backlit. Along the left side, we have two USB ports as well as an SD card reader. Along the right side, we have the power port as well as a USB-C. Unfortunately, this is not a Thunderbolt 3 port. If it was, it would allow us to use a Razer Core V2 with a 1080 Ti to run the graphics on this, and that would be freaking epic. But the USB-C is there for all of the new peripherals that are coming out that use USB-C. Along the bottom, we just have the Microsoft logo and a serial number, as well as some rubber feet that extend the entire width of the device. Makes it reasonably sturdy, but they're not especially grippy. Not as grippy as I thought, actually. There are some nice touches to the Surface Book as well, including this little divot that makes it easier to open the screen, as well as the nice LED light on the FN function key that shows you whether or not your function keys are active at the moment. There's also a key that you don't normally have on most laptop keyboards, and that is the eject button for ejecting the screen and lifting it off. I also really like the touchpad on this. It's very smooth, very easy to use, and feels extremely natural, almost identical actually to a MacBook Pro touchpad, except a little bit smaller. Something I don't like about the keyboard is the arrow keys. You've got big fat left rights, but skinny up and downs, and that leads you to accidentally pressing the shift key when you're thinking you're pressing the up key, or mishitting the top and bottoms. I don't know, I just think it feels a lot more natural having them either be all skinny or all big fat. That's my personal opinion though. So I'm just waiting for Windows Update to complete, but I was trying to plug it in and I just realized this cable is so short. This part should be like another 3 or 4 feet longer. It's maybe 7 feet long, 8 feet long. That's just not long enough for a modern AC adapter. Like I have no plugins that can even reach to this table right now with this short of a cable. Okay, so this unboxing was going pretty well until the Windows Update process. I can't see anything except for the mouse. You can see the mouse, that's it. And we've given it about a half hour to go through Windows updates, and it's not doing anything right now. Come on, Microsoft, this is your Windows on your laptop. It should be going more smoothly than this. All right, we're online. It only took like an hour of waiting. I am shocked at how long that took. One of the big improvements on the Surface Book 2 is obviously the internals, but on top of that, it also has an improved hinge. It's supposed to be more firm so that it stays put exactly wherever you put it. And then also, it's supposed to have a better eject mechanism that works consistently. Let's see how it does here. So, ready to detach. First time. Success. Perfect. So I really like this hinge, and I like the way that it sinks in. And now it says attached. Okay, let's dive into some benchmarks for this bad boy. Here we go. PUBG was surprisingly playable at 2560 by 1600, but played especially well when run on 1080p. There was dips down into the 40s when you're in big cities, but generally speaking, you should be getting close to 60 frames per second most of the time. Sadly, PUBG could not be ran at the full potential resolution. 2560 by 1600 was the highest resolution that you could play at. This will probably be fixed in an upcoming patch. Overwatch showed CPU bottlenecking at 83 frames per second at full resolution and 1080p. I would just run it at high settings at max resolution and you're pretty much set to go at 83 frames per second. Finally, we have The Witcher 3. At full resolution with Ultra and Hairworks off, it only managed to get 25 frames per second, and this just isn't good enough. Now, if you were to lower the settings down to medium, you might be able to play at that full resolution, or switch to 1080p and you've got 52 frames per second on Ultra. Finally, with 3D Mark, Firestrike Ultra was able to score 2550 on AC power and 2275 while using the battery, which means that while on battery power, you have about 90% of total potential power, which I think is really good. That said, when you're gaming on this thing, you're not going to get amazing battery life. All benchmarks aside, the Surface Book 2 has tremendous gaming potential, but it has two major limiting factors, in my opinion, from a hardcore gamer's perspective. The screen refresh rate is only 60 frames per second, which to me isn't good enough. I want 120 frames per second, but as you saw, it's not powerful enough to even push 120 frames per second very often. And number two, the screen does suffer from ghosting and a slower refresh rate because it is that ultra high resolution, almost 4K display. So you're not going to have really great gaming experiences, in particular on first-person shooters, in my opinion. They'll be okay, it won't be terrible, it'll be good, it just won't be great. To wrap up this review, the Surface Book 2 has incredible stats. It has absolutely amazing battery life unless you're doing something very processor intensive like video editing or playing video games. You're only looking at 2.5 to 5 hours of high performance battery life depending on what you're doing. As far as the screen goes, it's absolutely amazing, great color accuracy, excellent for creative and professional use. If you really want a tablet that can use a pen or a computer that can use a pen, this is absolutely amazing. Last but not least, why am I not buying and keeping the Surface Book 2 if I think it's such a fantastic device? Well, number one is because of the limited hard drive space, and every laptop I've had in the last 2 years have had at least 6 terabytes of storage space. I have a Phantom high-speed camera that has 128 gig buffer, so that means that one video file can be up to 128 gigs, and when you only have 1 terabyte of storage space on the laptop, one day of filming will completely max out that storage space in that laptop, and that's just not good enough for me. Another downside is that this thing is freaking huge and kind of doesn't work as a tablet when you're just holding it, like standing up or walking around with it. Now, if it's on a table or in your lap on a couch, it actually does work pretty well in tablet mode, but the battery life in tablet mode is really lackluster. If you're just using it for web browsing or watching movies, you're probably looking at about 3 to 4 hours. But if you play games like Hearthstone or other tablet-oriented games, you're going to kill the battery life so fast. It's going to be done in about an hour, hour and a half. So there's my thoughts on the Surface Book 2. But what do you think? Do you think it's amazing? Do you think it's incredible? Do you think it's just a big waste of money? Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Brandon out.